The night started with rain hammering the asphalt like it had a personal grudge against the world, and me crouched on the shoulder of a nearly empty highway outside Columbus, Ohio, wondering how my life had drifted this far off course. My knuckles were already scraped, my jacket smelled like oil, and the headlights of passing cars flashed by without slowing down. That was when I noticed a small sedan stalled ahead, hazard lights blinking weakly through the downpour, and a figure standing beside it with arms wrapped tight, as if trying to hold herself together. I didn't know it yet, but fixing that random girl's car was about to crack open a part of my heart I'd sealed shut for years. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strange timing of life, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. My name is Matthew Collins, and I've always been the kind of man who fixes things, because broken things make me uneasy. Cars, fences, leaky sinks, even people sometimes. I grew up in a small town in Indiana where my father taught me that if you have the tools and the ability, you don't drive past someone in need. That lesson stuck, even after life took a few rough turns. That night, I was driving back from a late shift at the auto shop, hands aching, mind heavy with thoughts I couldn't shake. I had agreed, somewhat reluctantly, to a blind date set up by my sister Rachel, scheduled for the next evening in downtown Columbus. I wasn't excited. Dating felt like another system that had failed me, another engine that refused to turn over no matter how much effort I put in. The woman by the stalled car looked young, maybe late 20s, her coat too thin for the cold rain, her hair plastered to her face. I pulled over without thinking, hazard lights flashing in solidarity. Up close I could see panic written all over her posture, the kind that comes when you're stranded, alone, and every worst-case scenario starts whispering in your ear. I gestured calmly, explaining with slow hands and reassuring expressions that I could take a look. She nodded quickly, stepping back as if afraid to hope too much. The hood popped open with a tired groan, steam hissing like a warning. The problem revealed itself fast, a blown hose, simple enough if you had the right tools and a bit of patience. Rain soaked through my clothes as I worked, fingers numb but steady, my mind oddly quiet. The woman hovered nearby, holding a phone with a cracked screen, eyes darting between me and the road. I caught glimpses of her face when lightning flashed, soft features, tired eyes, and a vulnerability that felt familiar. She looked like someone who'd been carrying more than she let on. When the repair was done and the engine finally turned over, the relief on her face was so pure it hit me harder than the cold. She clasped her hands together, shoulders sagging as if she'd been holding her breath for miles. I waved off any idea of payment, pointing to the rain and the dark road, silently insisting it was just the right thing to do. Before leaving, I made sure her car would get her where she needed to go safely. She nodded, mouthing thanks over and over, eyes shining. As I drove away, something strange lingered in my chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with the heater. I told myself it was just the satisfaction of helping someone. Still, her image stayed with me, long after the rain thinned and the road dried. The next day crept in slowly. I almost canceled the blind date, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone like it might explode. Rachel's optimism echoed in my head, telling me this one was different, that I deserved a fresh start. I showered, dressed, and drove into the city with low expectations and a guarded heart. The cafe she'd chosen was warm and bright, all exposed brick and soft music, the kind of place meant for new beginnings. I arrived early, ordered a coffee, and waited. When she walked in, the world tilted. It took a few seconds for my brain to catch up, for memory to snap into place. The same eyes now dry and clearer. The same posture, though steadier, more composed. It was her, the woman from the roadside. Sarah Mitchell, my blind date. Recognition dawned slowly on her face, too, a mix of surprise and disbelief spreading like sunrise. We stood there, frozen, the noise of the cafe fading into a dull hum. Life had a strange sense of humor, it seemed, weaving threads together when you least expected it. The hours that followed felt suspended outside of time. Without needing to rehash every detail, we found ourselves opening up in ways that felt natural, unforced. Sarah spoke about her job as a pediatric nurse, the long nights, the emotional toll, and why her car breaking down had felt like the last straw in a week full of emergencies. I shared pieces of my own story, how my engagement years ago had ended abruptly, how trust didn't come easy anymore, how working with my hands was the one place I still felt competent and grounded. There was no performance, no trying to impress, just two people, stripped of expectations, meeting in the middle. Over the next weeks, our lives began to overlap in quiet, meaningful ways. We took walks along the Scioto Mile, shared late dinners after her shifts, and talked about faith, fear, and the fragile hope that keeps people moving forward. There were moments of doubt, old wounds resurfacing, misunderstandings that threatened to pull us back into our shells. But each time we chose honesty over retreat. Sarah had a way of seeing people clearly, of offering grace without making you feel small. Being with her made me want to be better, not out of obligation but out of gratitude. The real test came when my shop faced closure after a major client pulled out, leaving me staring at the possibility of losing the one thing that anchored me. Pride told me to handle it alone. Fear told me to prepare for disappointment. Sarah listened, really listened, and reminded me that accepting help wasn't weakness. Together we found solutions I hadn't considered, reaching out, rebuilding, refusing to give up. It was the first time in years I didn't feel like I was carrying the weight of the world by myself. As winter edged toward spring, I realized something quietly profound. Love hadn't arrived in a grand gesture or a perfect first impression. It had shown up on a rainy roadside, in dirty hands and shared vulnerability. It had grown through patience, resilience, and a shared belief that people are worth stopping for. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you of moments where kindness changed your path, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and let us know you're here. It truly means everything. Just before the ending, I want to ask one special thing. Please comment below and tell us whether you believe small acts of kindness can change a life. Looking back, I know that night could have gone 100 different ways. I could have driven past, focused only on my own exhaustion and worries. Sarah could have been rescued by someone else, or by no one at all. But we met exactly when and how we were meant to. Sometimes the most important connections don't start with sparks or perfect timing, but with a simple decision to stop, to help, and to care. And in that choice, two separate, struggling paths can merge into something strong, hopeful, and unexpectedly beautiful.